Hey, good afternoon, Chani and friends. Welcome to this week's edition of Patio Ponderings. I'm recording a little early this week, so today is a very warm, breezy, beautiful, it feels like summer kind of day. And I don't know if you can hear it, but our neighborhood is again under the tyranny of the leaf blowers. So hopefully they won't disturb us too much. But I'm Pastor Sue, and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. So in this story that we heard on Sunday, it's probably one of the best known stories from the Gospel of Acts. And it's about, about Saul, who has been viciously persecuting followers of Jesus. And he has gone to Damascus to continue in that work to pull men and women out of their homes, bring them back to Jerusalem, and imprison them. Now, on his way to Damascus, he is struck blind and has this supernatural encounter with Jesus, and he is sent then to Damascus, where God calls a disciple, Ananias, to go tend to Paul, or Saul as he is still known here. And Ananias is not thrilled about going to take care of this person that is persecuting the disciples. There's a good deal of fear in him, I think, and rightly so. And Jesus has a response to him. He says, "Go. This man is the agent I have chosen to carry my name before Gentiles, kings, and Israelites. I will show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name." And that brings up one of the biggest questions in faith, and that is suffering. What is its cause? Why does God allow it to happen? Does God cause it to happen? And in this particular case, all those questions are valid. I mean, we wonder, is God going to actively punish Paul with suffering? Or is it just that the nature of the work, the nature of spreading the gospel in this current religious and political climate is by nature subject to suffering? Is it just karma? Or is it a little of each, maybe? That's kind of the line that I'm thinking down. So, the persecution that Saul has carried out on the followers of Jesus is not unique to Saul. As the church is going to experience rapid growth, trying to get my words out straight. As the church is going to experience rapid growth, persecution is going to increase. And it comes from two different sources. It's going to come from people like Saul, religious leaders and authorities who consider the teachings of Jesus to be heresy. And so they're going to be out to get that squashed. But it's also going to start coming from the Roman government itself and the other authorities underneath the Roman government, because the message of the gospel and the spreading of it is going to stir people up, but it's also going to be at odds with human authority in general. And the current human authorities are not going to be crazy about that. And so they're going to be pretty vicious against the growing church. And Paul is going to get caught in the crosshairs of that in many, many ways. And I think also, because now Paul is going to use the intensity with which he formerly persecuted the follower of Jesus to actively spread the message of Jesus, he might just well get a taste of his own medicine that he dished out so callously to so many people. So there's a lot going on here. It's very complex. Spreading the gospel, growing the church in the first century is dangerous work, both from a religious perspective and from a government perspective. So what I've been further thinking about then with all of this is a many-layered pondering. I've been thinking about this story as a lens with which to view current events. So many of our government leaders have been enmeshed in a growing Christian nationalist kind of effort in which they use our scripture, our faith in Jesus, to justify their actions, to push their values on people. But as they have continued to carry out different actions and take on some other ideologies, it's become very obvious that some of those policies and actions are clearly and egregiously against the very words and teaching of Jesus. Religious leaders across the country have been speaking out, and it's caused division, more division. It's caused anxiety and discomfort and all kinds of animosity. And for those who are marginalized, for those who are vulnerable, they are the ones caught in the middle, and they are actually suffering the consequences. And this is what happens when the message of Jesus comes over and against the message of our government, or of any government. So I'm wondering if you are able to see some of those things, some of those trends in the context of Saul's story from Acts. How do you view what's happening in our country right now with our leaders clashing with religious leaders and having public disputes over faith and morality and that kind of thing? Always interesting when we start to look at the world through the view of Scripture. Not always easy, always complex with lots of different angles. So as always, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Enjoy the warm weather this week, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye.